Welcome to Declare Your Independence with me, Ernest Hancock, here in Phoenix, Arizona, from the BEA beautiful studios of Freedoms with an S, freedomsphoenix.com. Now, what we're going to be doing today is talking to Pavel Nikienkov. Yeah, you got to help me out, man. Go ahead and say it so we know how to say it.
That was pretty good, actually. I don't think people could do it from the first go, but you did.
Pavel Nikienkov. All right.
Right.
Well, that sounds kind of Russian. Are you Rusky?
I am, yes. I
All right.
haven't
Now
been
this
there for a while. I mean, 15 years maybe, but yeah, I was born in Russia, St. Petersburg.
This is one thing we have in the crypto space. Oftentimes, it's Russian, and I'm wondering if it's a pursuit of freedom. Like we gotta go to Russia so we can get free. So I'm wondering if there is a culture in IT and computers that are looking to be more private because you understand the surveillance aspect of crypto and so on. Tell me, what do you think about that? What's the mindset there?
I think it could be a little bit of both. There is a strong technical background, but also the surveillance part is true. While I'm not living in Russia for a while now, I don't think it's a good idea when government knows about your funds, about your money, about what you're doing.
Do you have a place of origin that you spend most of your time? Are you a world traveler? Or are you in Russia? Where are you now?
Right now, we and the most of the team are in Dubai, and I've been traveling for a while. I used to live in Indonesia for a good part of 7 years. Then I moved closer to Europe, Montenegro. That was our previous location, and now we are pretty much moved to Dubai.
Okay, now what I'm
And
going
that's
to do, I wanted to go ahead and try to have people understand what we're looking at, what we're going to be talking about, because this is really important to me, and I have a good use case for what I hope you guys are promising. This is what's going on.
we'll see.
We have decided that, the best thing, we are engaged a great deal with politics, more philosophy, general public opinion, being an inspiration and a demonstration of a lot of the tech that's out there for free markets, free minds, that we can be an add to our community, communicate, I want to buy, I want to sell, I have, I'll barter, I trade. But you need communication to be able to do that and hopefully not surveilled by the man. So what we wanted to do is we're looking for something, and ZANO came to our attention. So we're going, okay, the goal of ZANO is to have, private transactions and communication. Okay, I'm in. Let's see what we can do. But before I really wanted to have this as a promotion to my audience, I needed to make sure that we understood what the motivation behind the project was, who's behind the project, what their experience is in the space, and where we're going. What's the intent, how the development is going. Because what we provide is a use case. You go, oh, we got a privacy. Yeah, for what? Why? Why would I do that? What's better, this one than that one? So that's where we're at now. Now, Pavel, you've been identified as having a lot of experience in crypto and in the privacy aspects of it. And you've done previous projects, and a lot of your work is seen up in other cryptos. So go ahead, let's start from the beginning. Tell us what your experiences are and why. We'll get, of course, why we're doing ZANO. So go ahead, tell us more about yourself and your experiences in the space, will you please?
Of course. But I think you're confusing me with my co-founder, Andre. He was the guy who launched another cryptocurrency before. I joined the team around 2017. And before that, my experience with cryptocurrency was a user. I had a strong IT background, and I was working in a software development company. And cryptocurrency came around for me as a user. I used it to transfer money,
So
basically.
this is your first project development, ZANO. You're
Well,
one.
yeah, I helped out with the Bulgari development mainly, but I was more on managerial role. Starting from 2019, I think I switched more to the development side of things. So basically, right now we are a team of engineers, and I'm taking care of smart contracts, websites, apps, things like that. And two of my colleagues, Andre and Val, they are doing the core C++ development. And you probably heard of them as founders of CryptoNode, which was the foundation of Monero. And this is what our core technology is, and this is what we are building further.
Okay, now this is, well, obviously, as a user, you have experience in crypto and the desire for what it can do. What is
Of
it that
course.
you're trying to do? In your experiences with other cryptos as a user, and I guess it's the first time as an engineer, but I want to know what the goal is and then how you're achieving that. Why ZANO?
Well, the goal always was and is to create a digital cash, the ability to transfer capital without being dependent on the third party. That was a big sell for me always, and this is what we are trying to accomplish. And why is it should be confidential? That's exactly the reason why we are building it this way, because you should not allow other people see the amount of money you get and how you transfer it around. And it's not the case for traditional market. People normally don't have access to your bank account statement. This is why we felt that public blockchain, while it's a good idea because it's decentralized and no one controls your funds, but people could see it. So it's only 50% of a digital cash. There was the obvious improvement, which came alive with the CryptoNode, which later became known as Monero. And this is technology developed by our team, and we intend to push it further.
Why? Why ZANO, you leave Monero team, or, well, they adopted a lot of the software I guess you guys developed, but ZANO, we're going to do it better. Because I've been covering crypto since like 09, 10, I mean, from the beginning, and Bitcoin, and it was, it's anonymous. Then I find out, well, it's pseudo-anonymous, which means not. And then I'm going, you guys are killing me. I need to understand exactly what it can do, what we want to do, and who's doing it. Well, you start getting into privacy stuff, and I'm going, okay, to what purpose?
Yes, the main idea for CryptoNode in the first place was to be a new, better Bitcoin. The first project was launched with the CryptoNode 4, was even called Bytecoin, because it was meant as the replacement, like a better Bitcoin. They botched the launch, obviously. It's ancient history now, but the technology is sound. And everything that is done with the CryptoNode are aimed to improve Bitcoin. And by doing ZANO, we are trying to build on top of that, because it's been years since it's been released, and some things became more or less obvious, and we know what we need to do to improve it further.
Well, this is something that my experience was this. I go into talking to a lot of the crypto guys, and what happens is, well, it wasn't exactly how they, said it was. So I'm looking at and I'm going, okay, what can be done? Well, here comes Vitalik Buterin with Ethereum saying, like you, I want to help Bitcoin. We're going to do it better. They don't want to. They wanted to do adoption, integration, and the legacy banking system, get shoehorned into big bank, whatever the hell they're doing.
Well, they did something better. Maybe not all of it, but they improved certain aspects of it.
Yeah, no. Well, who did? Ethereum or Bitcoin?
Ethereum.
Yeah, no, Ethereum was to try and improve on it. They didn't want to they wanted to be a store of value, whatever the hell they wanted to do. So he starts Ethereum. You know, he does have a lot of these traits. Well, I'm starting to get the idea, but it wasn't private, you know. So
It's
now
not private. Yes.
we're getting ZANO to where, you know, we have a lot of these improvements that we can have on blockchain technology on Bitcoin. We're just going to do it. You know, we'll just do it over here and do it. So what I'm looking at, ZANO is kind of like, you know, Ethereum was the Bitcoin. It's ZANO is the Monero. You see what I mean? It's kind of you're taking the core privacy technology and you're giving it a lot more use cases. How far off am I?
Well, ideologically, it is. One thing I don't like about that comparison, because if you compare yourself to Ethereum, people automatically assume you have the same tech, like smart contracts, like virtual machine and stuff like that. And that's not the case, because in order to even operate with some data with virtual machine, you have to have certain data exposed, like addresses or amounts. None of that is open on ZANO. We don't have anything exposed. So we do have some like preset contracts. We could do tokens. We could do certain things. We have APIs for different application, but it's not exactly working as Ethereum, because we do not have a programming language. And I don't think we should go in that direction, because we are not trying to replace Ethereum. We're trying to supplement it.
Well, one of the things that the tech that I've hit, because I'm, you know, I get read up enough to where it gets all geekified. That's why I have you come on. Now, I'm getting the impression that you're having markets that you're going to be able to do multi-sig contracts, and that you're having the ability to make other cryptos private, having a transaction using ZANO as a I guess a tumbler or something from one crypto to another, or explain that to me. I want to know how ZANO is increasing privacy for other cryptos.
The way it works, we could create a wrapped token on top of ZANO, same way people use wrapped Bitcoin on top of the Ethereum. Like if you have plain old Bitcoin, you can put it in some collateral, or depending on the structure, and get issued a wrapped BTC, the token on Ethereum blockchain, and then you can go on and use it as collateral for loans. You can trade it on decentralized exchanges, and pretty much apply all of the Ethereum tech to it. The same process works with ZANO, since we support confidential tokens, confidential assets, however you prefer to call it. And you can go through the same process. You can wrap Ethereum or Bitcoin and get issued a token on top of ZANO blockchain that will have all the same characteristics as the native ZANO coins, like untraceability, unlinkability, and you can even trade them on top of ZANO blockchain with the ionic swap feature, and that trade would also be indistinguishable from any other transaction from the looks of it, or like third-party observer. They don't know what are you transferring, what kind of asset, how much, and if it's a transfer or a trade. None of that is out there in the open.
Okay, explain that. I keep hearing this atomic, ionic, whatever swaps, and I know it involves. You got to explain that to the audience and me, please.
Sure. Well, atomic swap is the industry-wide term. That means you create a transaction between two blockchains. You lock up some portion of it on one blockchain, let's say Bitcoin, in like hash time like contract, and you make the same thing on the other blockchain, and then you exchange that information with the other party, and you unlock it on other blockchain. So this is what people call atomic swaps. Since name was taken, and what we do is, it's not really an atomic swap, because you have to do it in 4 steps. What we do in ZANO, it's a atomic operation on ZANO blockchain, where you create a proposal, a part of transaction, and pre-fill a portion of the information, and other party would fill their part and complete the transaction and then broadcast it on chain, essentially launching and the swap. So, for
Oh my
example,
God. My eyes have glazed over already. Now, this is one thing that I want to have explained because I hear it a lot and I don't really understand.
Well,
I go to the ZANO wallet and I have a Bitcoin, an Ethereum, a Doge, or whatever. And I go
let's
in.
have a real example. I could explain in a real example.
Please.
There is a project called Freedom Dollar, for example. It's a ZANO-based stablecoin. It's pegged to the US dollar, and you can have it as an asset in ZANO wallet. What you can do is to create a transaction that will send, let's say, 10 FUSD to me in exchange for 1 ZANO, and send me the hash of that transaction. It could be done through web interface that is kind of look like an exchange, or you can just send it in a messenger. It's just a huge block of hex, whatever works. And I could plug it into my wallet. It will decode it. I can complete the transaction, and we will have a trade transaction complete between each other without involving any centralized party. That's the entire process. So essentially what happened, you sent me $10, I sent you 1 ZANO, and we didn't use any of the exchanges, and a third-party observer could not tell what happened.
So the stable coin, it's linked to the dollar. Why? You're just using that mechanism to one thing for another. I need to understand how the ecosystem would work for our use case of a community wanting to have transactions and being private.
It doesn't have to be linked to the dollar. I'm just using that as example because this is an actual functioning project on top of ZANO blockchain, and we could do this swap live right now. So it's just easier to explain. You can open up the mobile wallet, you can go to their website, and if you have like 1 ZANO, you can swap it to FUSD all in your mobile wallet without any third party involved. But it doesn't have to be a stablecoin. It could be any kind of token or asset representing whatever. The technology allows you to put some assets on one side and some on another, and then match them and broadcast the transaction.
Okay, when you say that, broadcast the transaction, you're saying, let me go ahead and give you a just use case. I come in, I'm, bought a bunch of crypto back in the day, and I'm sitting on a pile of cash, and gosh darn it, I wish to make use of it, use it, send it, transfer it, have some whatever. Now they have different, DeFi, they call it, decentralized finance, to where I can take my crypto richness now and I can go ahead and buy something, or I can get a loan on it, or I can. Well, if you want to remain private, ZANO offers me opportunities to be able to do what? Transactions or getting into gold or dollars. See, it seems to me that whenever you start messing around with US dollars or actual currencies, fiat and so on, that's where you run into problems. That's where, it's an issue. And if somebody wants to be private in their transactions, it really doesn't matter if you're dealing with a bank or something like that. So the privacy aspect is really what? For transacting other cryptos and ZANO? Because our problem is that getting into it now, you got to, get an anal probe and DNA swab and all kinds of crap to start into crypto. Once you get in, ZANO provides you a lot of opportunities to maintain your privacy in it, but getting in and out into fiats, that's the problem. Is that where the bottleneck is?
Yeah, mainly the bottleneck is fiat, and it always was. So whenever you want to exchange your on-chain assets back to fiat, it's always going to be a bottleneck. unless you're okay with the spending on-chain assets, and whatever vendors you're working with is also okay with receiving on-chain assets. Doesn't even have to be ZANO specifically. It could be other on-chain assets, and there's a way to bridge in and out of ZANO.
Well, this is what I'm looking for. Is I don't care. You stay in crypto. That suits me just fine because it's able to be used on the internet. You're able to do transactions, and I'm wanting to have a situation to where when you do want to go off, you do want to. A lot of times, my crypto I use in supplies, trading with other like-minded individuals. They have something I want. They want my crypto. We do an exchange. A lot of times it's for services, videos, graphics, different things like that, services that we have. And I got a bunch of rich people out there that got all my Bitcoin from me using it. That's what happened. But the main thing is that I'm looking for the use case that you have in a community, being able to communicate, I have, I got, I want, I buy, I trade, I barter. And what other services are there now that we got a privacy coin that you don't have information that's transmitted, the man can't get you. But what is the widget, the software for the actual market, the shops? What are they building on ZANO as an ecosystem? How big is this ecosystem? What is the plan for it? Help me with that.
We have few ways to address it. One of them is mostly focused on financial transactions. As you probably know, we have aliases that are essentially tags or handles or names for your ZANO address. And we have a messenger that takes those aliases and uses them as a username. And it's based on matrix. It's open source and highly secure, encrypted end-to-end, and so like pretty safe. And you don't even need to know the person you're communicating with. You just know the alias, and if you send ZANO or any other ZANO asset to that alias, that person will get it, and you can chat with the same person and agree on a deal or whatever. This is mainly targeted for online commerce, when you don't want to necessarily meet the person, you just want to make sure that you're talking to the right guy. And as e-commerce go, we have a marketplace API, and I think we have one or two marketplaces that is currently functioning. ZANO allows you to post your listing on ZANO blockchain with some description, maybe IPFS link to the image. I could supply a couple of examples how it works. Maybe Zanobay is one of them, and I need to look it up, the proper name. And you can browse all the listings. You can purchase one. You can send a ZANO or any ZANO asset, and it will facilitate the market. And most of all, it's public and open source. And if that specific marketplace, there's a peak, by the way, that's the live working one marketplace. If that doesn't work for you, you can use the same technology to develop your own marketplace, have your own categories, listings, moderation rules, because, we do not have any like surveillance tools or means to control whatever gets posted. And there's all kind of stuff people could post online. So we don't want to police that. So we just provide the APIs and let the marketplace owner work it out for themselves, like what kind of stuff they want to see posted on their platform.
Well, this is, we have even on Occupy, what we've done is we have a checkout for Occupy the store. We go in and do a lot of different stuff. And then, we take crypto. Okay. When we place the order, we go in and we go boom. And then we tried to integrate ZANO into its own thing there. And then like when you do donations and so on, so we're trying to make sure that we use it and give people an opportunity to show us some love and have, let's see if it'll the widget will pop up. Because what we want to do is to start spending it, and have it spent. We're working to, show that it can be done and that it should be. And if we don't start using it, it won't take off. I figured that out when the development of Bitcoin. Everybody was holding it and so on until they actually started using it. Then they went all hodl on it. And then, now it's not what it originally intended to be, which was what? Digital cash. So I need a private digital cash that works fast, cheap to use, which is, Bitcoin. I've paid $60 transactions before. I'm like, screw that, So this is a opportunity for a privacy coin that has some other traits in it. And the stable coin, I got some excitement from people on the stable coin from ZANO, and I didn't really understand why. They're going, yeah, man, it's 1-to-1 to the dollar. It's a stable coin. It's private. And I'm going, okay, how do I get it? Well, I got to have some other crypto that I got somewhere to go into a stable coin. This stable coin, does it, once I put it into that and then I trade it on an exchange for others, because that's one that we have Paul Pway on from Airbits and now Edge that we've worked with for a long time. And I go, why did you add ZANO to your enormous big giant wallet platform of whatever? And he goes, because it had some unique features. He goes, they're doing it right. And I wanted to make sure he got, so that was early on. And I'm wondering why someone like Paul, that's all about the future and finance, and he goes, ZANO, why? And why? Let's start off with the stable coin. What do you think its primary use is? Why stable coins?
Well, I could say for myself, as we are using it for payroll, we have to hire freelancers once in a while. We have like a core team member, but some of the side jobs like design or something really specific that we don't have a dedicated person to, we normally paid with the stable coins, and it used to be USDT. And you probably understand why is it not very convenient, because like you expose your balance, you're getting exposed to USDT. We are doing a privacy crypto development, and we could have our assets seized at any moment. So dealing with public chains, for us, it's always a certain risk. And on the other end, the guy who does the banner design for us, they don't really care about like ZANO price performance. They just need to be paid $300. That's the agreed upon price. So we got to make sure that we deliver him $300. It doesn't matter what current market conditions are. So the stable coin as a means of transferring the wealth, it's the best thing so far. It doesn't have to cover everything, because for your use case, you might want to opt in and create your own token with your own, value or the source of utility. But for something like small online jobs, this is the perfect way to send money around.
Okay, now let's go ahead and walk this through. Stable coins, if I go and I have a ZANO stable coin, and then ZANO goes up, doubles, the stable coin's still the same. But so for that, being able to honor the value of that ZANO, where are they going? And you got to have some kind of like reserve in ZANO to cover if it goes down. Tell me how do you keep it stable?
Well, I'm not. This is not what we are doing. Again, we are just providing the technology for other people to build on top. The Freedom Dollar team, they have ZANO Reserve, and from what I understood, it's over collateralized. So they have like at least twice more ZANO or something to maintain the impact. But that would be me answering on their behalf. So I don't know if I should be doing that.
Well, no, I understand. I just, I appreciate you giving us any information. What I'm really trying to do is get an introduction into ZANO. I mean, a lot of people I respect are really excited about what you guys are doing, and which is why, we're examining it. Just the promise.
Of
You know,
course,
I just
of
need
course.
the goal is what I want. You know, digital cash became like, ew, you want digital cash? What do you want? Bubblegum money? Yeah, I do. I want it, it spends easily, it's fast, it's cheap to do. You know, back in the day what the promise was of 2 cent if that transaction fees and so on. And oh my God, it's really private. None of this, we kind of sort of almost pretend it's private. It's private. So now I got an opportunity with what we're building out here in the community to promote not just to people that already know about it, to a lot of neighbors that don't know about crypto. They sure as hell don't know how to use it. You have little meetups, we have parties, barn raising, went to the barn dance, I mean, whatever. And you're going, look, man, we can transact here because there's a lot of bartering going on already. And if we had a listing that you could be private with what you have in your back 40 of railroad ties and fencing, and I can trade out digging a hole in my backhoe to get some of that wood that you have that I want, and whatever the heck. It makes it so much easier to be able to have a platform to put that on and be able to do transactions without having the man breathing down your neck. And how much did you spend on, and where's your tax income of we need some income? So I'm going, no, I need to have a private communication platform. What other you're talking about? It also does chat, so that facilitates trade. You have the stable coin, which people can feel comfortable that it's going to be worth, what they got paid in the beginning, which is, you don't get the advantages of it going up when it starts getting used. That's a whole nother thing. But, and the speed of the transaction, how fast is a block settled? How fast how many blocks do I got to have before I'm sure that I got my money? When you're doing trade with farmers out here and you're saying, all right, here, blip, and it shows up. All right, we're good. We got the transactions complete. How fast is it?
At the moment, we have 1 minute block time, and I think the default finality is 10 blocks. Right now, we are working on a consensus improvement proposal to move to pure proof of stake, and the expected block time would be reduced to something within seconds, maybe 7 to 10 seconds, at least if everything works out, because it's a ongoing research and I cannot make any reasonable estimations just yet. And we are aiming to have maybe 3 blocks confirmation in terms of finality. So, it's not as fast as, let's say, Solana or something like this, but that's a trade-off of being private and decentralized, because we don't have, the delegator nodes where people could have like 30 nodes for entire network, and that will work super fast. But it is also just 30 people or businesses to take down the network.
So the priority was privacy. Everything else
was privacy and censorship resistance, because right now every user with the full ZANO wallet is a node, and as long as 2 of those people are there, the chain is alive. Like if I stop showing up to work tomorrow, nothing gonna change. We have no like flip or switch or the central server that runs the whole thing. Everything gonna be just the same.
How far are we from the complete dream of what was intended? And let's start with that. What is intended? What is the mission statement? What's the goal? Why are you doing this?
It always changes. I can't say what's the end, because it's an ongoing battle. Newer technology getting developed, and we try to stay on the edge. We try to build the way for people to transact online, and we try to make it as decentralized and censorship resistant as it could be. And there is no point in time where we would stop developing it and say like, this is perfect, because there's always something you can improve. You can make it more private. You can make it faster. You can make blockchain smaller. You can improve a lot, especially in privacy, because it's way more complicated than any other cryptocurrency. So any improvement here, even marginal, is a big win, and the user experience is subpar. I have to admit the public chains are way easier right now. But I mean, we'll do our best to keep it moving.
Well, where does this support come from? A lot of people I respect that know what's about what, made sure that I give attention to this project because I've been, a whiner about all the traits that I want, and one of the top ones was privacy. And then, but I need speed, and I need, some other features. So they're going, oh, this ZANO thing is what you need, Ernie. And I'm going, okay. What's the overall goal? Is it a communication platform, not just crypto transactions, or is it primarily focused on crypto transactions and having a communication platform to help facilitate that in commerce? I mean, I need to understand the overall mission, the goal. What are you trying to do?
Well, with the mission, we are go after the market. When we started, there was an idea that people would pay a portion of Bitcoin for their coffees. And by 2025, it's obvious that people don't do that. They use tokens mostly, and they use their Bitcoin as a collateral or digital gold or whatever. So the goal is always changing, but the idea behind the goal is the same. People need the way to safely and privately transact money, basically, to pay for services or goods. And the form of money will always be changing, and this is fine. We'll try to adapt. So right now, I think that the goal is to provide the platform for communities to build on top. Like you just mentioned, that you have a use case, you have your own community, the idea, and in order to do it with some other cryptocurrency, you'll have to buy into that cryptocurrency and use someone else's resources to accomplish your thing. And that's not necessarily what you want to do because you have your own design or like idea of economics. What ZANO allows you is to use ZANO features, but have your own idea of the supply and distribution. So that's one of the things that we have accomplished recently, and we weren't planning for it back in 2017. Then we just been building the cryptocurrency like any other team did, and we thought like this is going to be it. This is going to be the best. But priorities change, and like cryptocurrency market changes, and we just try to stay ahead.
Okay, so this is what I'm getting from you is that there is an attempt to make sure that you're supplying tools to other developers for what they're doing. You're going,
This is exactly it. Yes, this is exactly it. We want to build a platform, like a layer, provide the APIs and tools for other people to build on top, because we are not marketing experts. We don't necessarily know how to promote to the specific use case the best, but we could provide the tools so people could use it to build their own cryptocurrency of their like dream or just something that fits. And we'll do our best to take care of the engine.
Okay, now this is a good time. All right, now we're getting to where what I wanted to get to. The capability and the engineering of being able to provide privacy, at least text, chat, communication, to transact a crypto hash, whatever you value, privately. These are the foundations of a lot of things that I see as necessary for the future. We are getting to the point to where they, them, those won't leave us alone, is that not only can they lock us down, shut you down, turn you off, you're not allowed to even have ones and zeros going back and forth across, which is why we do our own mesh network. you have satellite communication, you have Starlink, it keeps getting, and those are all going to be controlled anyway. It has been, because I'm an old guy, I remember back in, email from the early 90s. So we could see that from the ashes of Lady Liberty's torch, freedom's rebirth, freedom's phoenix. How that's going to come is from ashes. Woo, the ashes be a coming. Here we go. And COVID and lockdown demonstrated they'd never do that. It'd never come America. We would never. Well, it just happened. Okay, it just happened. So I don't want to hear it. So the thing is that as we get into the future, we're going, the possibility of thermonuking everything, and the trend towards people just going, I don't think we're going to vote ourselves free. I don't think we can, count on the central banks and the Federal Reserve and the United States government of America is going to advocate for our individual freedom, but we're just going to have to do it. And one of the big things that's why it's such a focus on free speech and the freedom of thought and the freedom, to associate and the freedom, is that we have to take it. It's not a law that you pass. There's not a congressman that you elect. There's not a president that's going to fix it for you. The problem that we have is we keep delegating our own authority over our own lives to somebody else. Well, what if we can take that control back, that we can communicate freely, unsurveilled, and communicate transactions in the form of value, money, on the internet, ones and zeros, using whatever network is available. So that is the future that I'm trying to inspire to support, that which I want to see more of. When I hear about ZANO and what you guys are doing and why, and we'll try to talk to as many people involved with ZANO and developers and so on as we can, because what you're describing is you're creating a mechanism, a platform, a toolkit for people to do that very thing. So it's not like, I plug in ZANO and I'm free. It's like ZANO platform is here to facilitate what you're trying to do, Ernie. We want to have the ability to communicate privately, to do transactions, to have listed stuff, for sale, for barter, for trade, for whatever, without a permission slip from the crown. You're not allowed to use it for that. You're not allowed to be private. You're not allowed to, if you're not in their control, you're out of control. And we don't like people out of control, So that is the mindset that we come into this, looking for tools as we develop parallel things. We're building out here. We're getting involved in the community. We're having this project and that project. I got enough projects to last me. But I know that as we develop and as we go into the future and to be a big add to our community and provide this kind of commerce and communication when we need it the most, okay, which be a coming, I need to have somewhere to go for me to be able to do that. Now, the show right after, I got to go in about 10 minutes. The show right after this, we're going to be talking to Peter Schiff. Well, Peter Schiff's like, funny money, man. It's all gold and silver. What are you doing? And it's amazing how many times he gets invited to all these crypto things just so he can yell at you or something, or they can yell at him, whatever. It's fun. So the point is that I see, I'm a silver stacker. It's all good. But I see the role for crypto. You can't transact silver on the internet. In fact, that's an exchange I'd like to be able to. There's a silver exchange somewhere. Somebody can kind of crypto me. Well, we'll start talking to some precious metals dealers. But the thing is, and that would be interesting. We have some precious metals dealers that we, are favorites. And if ZANO provides the privacy and the mechanism by which they don't go to jail, we're all over it. We'll be pushing that. So this is why we're talking. I am looking for an ideology, a goal, because when Bitcoin first came out, that was all the promises to the Liberty community. 09, 10, 11, 12, got to about 13, and then here come the lobbyists and the central bank of you need a permission slip, and it's going to be our way, and what's the rule for the central bank, and it's going to be branches. I mean, I'm like, no, never freaking mind. That was not the but it's going on. Don't care. Don't care. My goal is to be able to have private, useful communication and transactions in my community, and from that community to other communities, around the world, but this is what I'm looking for. At what stage of development are you for that, providing that? I need that. This is, you're talking about a lot of projects and so on, but I need to know what the goal is, where they're going. Are they going to facilitate freedom for the individual and their communities and bypassing the man, because they don't like being bypassed? So when they come and say, hey, you're out there being free, you deliberately ducked, you're not allowed, and we go, sucks to be you, there's nothing we can do anyway. There's no information for us to give you. There's nothing. It was already pre-done. The transaction, the settlement was the transaction and the settlement, and we're done. So this is why I'm talking to you. I need to have as many people as possible in the project on ZANO to explain to me and the audience how it is that your project is the one that we should be supporting, and that its mission, its goal, and its features and benefits are to that end. You see my point?
I do, yes. And coming back to your question, as far as development goes, I think we are quite there. And you're right on the topic that we cannot solve all the work problems, but we could provide the set of tools for private transaction, and we could customize those tools to the market needs. And it might be not as polished as it could be, but we are here to try to help you to build whatever and use that feedback to improve further. And we will not stop improving it, because there's always something, right? But as I was saying, it is done and it's working, and there are projects building on top of ZANO already. A couple of them we have mentioned during the call, like the Freedom Dollar or the Breach thing, the confidential layer, and there are a couple more. And I talk daily to the other people interested on building on ZANO. So I would expect more and more projects coming in and trying to make the private economy work.
Well, I was glad that Edge took you on, because originally there was a ZANO wallet that was took a long time to sync, and it was, every time I turned it was being a thing. And then Bitcoin.com started having, so I started using that with ZANO, and that was working pretty good. And then when Paul Puey put it up on Edge, I'm like, oh, hell yeah, that's my favorite wallet. And I go, woohoo, ZANO made it. Okay, cool. Now we can see what's up. So this is, I'm with you, brother, but I just want to make sure you understand the use case that we're out here in America. We're looking for this type of thing. A lot of times people don't even know that it's available, or that they need it. The features that we're talking about with ZANO, the privacy features, the ability to have a stable coin, the ability to be able to do swaps with other currencies using ZANO, to bring them in and maintain private transactions, even on other cryptos. These are all very important things. But then it comes down to grandma just button. Everybody go, you just this and you just that. I'm going, all right, come show me this, just button on my keyboard you keep talking about. Then you guys get up there and you start pounding away about 50 keystrokes, and I'm going, whoa, 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 whoa. It's not a grandma just button, okay? I need to where it loads up, I put it on my wife's phone or laptop, and boom, I don't have to do anything. It's intuitive, and they just make it go work. Now, it seems to be getting there, but they're oftentimes when I talk a lot of these projects, what do they do well? One thing, well, they got that kind of okay, but they're doing a whole bunch of other stuff. Well, the first thing is that you have, cheap, fast, secure, private transactions. Have you reached that stage in your mind? Do you feel comfortable with that?
I think it would be cheaper and faster. We are quite confident in our consensus model. I think it's one of the best on the market, and the privacy is also the top level. So if you gotta compare, I would put secure and private first, and after that, fast and cheap, because it's not as fast as the public chains, and it probably never will be, just because the confidential transaction computation, it's quite a heavy operation. It's just like, it cannot be as fast. I mean,
So,
it's
so
not
what are
going to
you
work.
talking about speed? You're going, okay, well, you use ZANO, you're going to have to wait how long?
Like a minute for block information.
So
You'll
this
see it
is,
immediately, but
well, I'm willing to trade a minute for fast and, make it go where and
but
they don't know about
yeah,
it.
this is not this is not done yet, because we have research on a consensus update that will allow us to have a block time reduced at least 10 times. So this is something that we got right now. Everything that I've said over the course of the interview is the tech that is running live right now on ZANO blockchain. We have few things being researched or developed, and I'm not the guy to say that this is going to be like the best. We'll see, but we will keep pushing it.
Privacy and security, you think you got that covered. Speed,
Yes.
you may have to give it, oh my God, you got to wait a minute. But the ZANO Bay, when you're looking at this, I remember when they had like Open Bazaar, they were trying to do the same kind of thing. Open Bazaar was, we're going to be private. We're going to be, secret. You can list anything. You can do, well, it takes users, and you had to run your own node or something to be able to do it. Well, now you're looking at to where you're having ZANO Bay. Is that a program or platform that you load onto your own site, or is it something that you list on something you guys are running?
ZANO Bay is the web application that is being ran by, I don't know, ZANO Bay team. They're anonymous. We provide the APIs, and anyone could have their own copy of ZANO Bay. It doesn't have to be ZANO Bay. It doesn't have to look or function the same way. We have tools, and if you want to start your own e-commerce website tomorrow, you can use the same set of tools, and you can have all the same features as ZANO Bay. And the node will be yours, running on your server, and it will be using ZANO blockchain as a database.
Okay. So and you could have your own pay system through ZANO on the site.
It's already built in.
Yeah.
It's already built in, because you use ZANO addresses and aliases as accounts. So whenever you list something on one of the platforms, there is an alias or address, and you can pay to that address and receive the merchandise. But again, this is up to the platform owner, because they could have their own tweaks, whatever they see fit.
Well, you see, we have, a lot of stuff. I want to be able to, have it as an option, which is what we've integrated into it.
Yeah,
we have it here in the back end. But the
merge store could be put on ZANO blockchain easy.
Okay, so that's what I'm, we may have our webmaster that is doing this page talk to you just as a demo. See, I'm willing to spend some money and some ZANO on us integrating to demonstrate that it can be done. And because what I put up here, doesn't matter. Services, massages, freaking, fence post, whatever the hell, it doesn't matter. But if we have the mechanism by which we can do a transaction and start the use of it, and it be confident that it's private, that it's secure, that it's unsurveilled, these are the things that we're hoping to demonstrate as we go into whatever the hell's coming over time. It doesn't have to be like today, but that means I need to interface with you guys enough to show what roadblocks we're having, what hurdles we're going through. So, I mean, is there someone there can talk about the shop integration?
Of course. First of all, we have a template for e-commerce store. You can use as starting point, and it's going to be me or one of my colleagues. If one of your developers join our Discord or Telegram, they can reach out to me, and I could guide them through the process and provide the reference code, because we already have few stores launched, and at least one of them is open source, so they could just scroll through their code and copy whatever is needed.
Yeah, no, we want to demonstrate. We want to little steps, Shawshank Redemption, time and pressure, that we're going at this so that we can be certain that we're ready when it's necessary. Because scrambling is like today we're having problems with the computers of screw that, I don't want to have those kinds of problems when you're doing commerce. We want to have something that's ready to go and is already been tested with our community. So we could start that process now, which is why we had the actual, the graphics that we're using is that on our site, we put the ad for us endorsing ZANO as the revolution decentralized. This is something that we're ready to be your partner on to work. Help me, help you. Help me, help you. Okay? This is why we're doing this and talking to you. And I'm sorry we had problems connection this morning. I know, and we had to reschedule, but it's been weeks us trying to get you on. And it's been kind of frantic, and I got to get going here in just about a minute. But the point is that this entire project and your desire to provide these kinds of services has use cases all over the planet. There are people waiting for these kinds of abilities to be able to integrate into their life, into their culture, into their country, into their survival. So this is something I want to stay up on with you guys, and I just wanted to get an introduction to your team and project and you and whoever else you'd like me to talk to. But the main thing is to understand that there's use cases out here waiting on you now. We're like, hello. So I'm excited to have talked to you and wanted to make sure you knew that we are ready to make use of the tech that you guys are developing. And if we can have some interface and an explanation of what you're doing now, it would be, I think the most beneficial, to you guys in your development. Because a lot of times developers, they want to do what they want to do because they want to do it. And I'm going, yeah, well, the market out here wants this. Anybody working on that? I support that which I want to see more of, and I want to see more of this. So would you please share with the development team, and of course, if they watch this video, and I apologize, we didn't have all our whiz-bang widgets and so on, because we're having problems with the computer, and I got to get Peter Schiff's they're waiting now. But I want to make sure that you guys understand that we are fans already, because of what the goal is. Now we need to have demonstrations that those goals have been achieved in a community that wants to be private, but open, to everybody, but not have to put their ankles up to their ears and ask Uncle Sam to do them and get a permission slip from the crown. So I'm just like, rare. We're of the same mind. Keep me informed, would you, Pavel?
Of course, and this is the best validation we could get as the engineers that what we are building is actually can be useful. And I'm happy to talk to your tech team, and we could work out the solution that will prove what we can do.
You will get contact today. If now, this afternoon, or Donna will send and put you and Miranda together, because this, and we have another, tech super geek, Derek, that's the man too, and we played with a lot of stuff. We've done open bazaar stores. We've done, not because I thought it was going to take off and be the biggest, most giant thing of whatever. It was to support that which you want to see more of. When it goes, MaidSafe started. We're big on that. Cordal, man, we're big on that. ZANO, man, we're big on that. Why? Because if we encourage what you guys are doing and show a use case, and the market will come, That's it. I'm an old guy. I've seen it, too many times. When you have a need, it gets filled. But it's always good to have it developed and ready before you need it, and that's what we're working on. Pavel, thanks for coming on and being patient with our technical stuff. But I wanted to get this relationship started so that we could have an understanding that you guys are encouraged by waiting on you now. I mean, that's, kind of my thing, All right, brother. Thanks for coming on. Peace, man.
Thank you. I appreciate you taking the time. It was a pleasure.
Bye-bye.